Greetings, card fighters, and welcome to Premium 101, an introduction to Cardfight Vanguard's premium format. I'm Devlin Cassidy, aka The Scholar, and I'm here to help you start your premium format journey in the game of Cardfight Vanguard. I hope that this starter's guide for today's clan is very beneficial in having you figure out what deck you want to pick up when you decide to play premium. I hope that you find this video very informational and helpful, and hopefully have you start on your premium journey. So now we move on into the clan that is absolutely synonymous with this channel, with Great Nature. I'm going to be able to cover 3 decks that I think are kind of slated the best for you to get started playing Great Nature. Of course, we're going to start with Big Belly here, the best panda around. So Big Belly got an upgrade with History Collection. And I will be doing my profile here shortly. This is kind of the deck list if you guys want to preview, but I'll be going a lot more in depth of like why I play certain cards. But Big Belly here got the upgrade with History Collection, being the 0 art to get 2 Excel markers early, so you're able to set up for better offensive combo plays later inside your turns. And the big thing with that is like Wisdom Teller being like every time a unit swings, if it's 20k or greater, you get to draw a card. So with like restanders on that kind of like pseudo stride up turn is what I call them, you get Spool Mary out on the board. And then if you smack her on the rear guard, you have her like boost and get some of the 4k buffs. She's actually always just going to be like 23 plus, so she's always going to be able to get you that draw card. And then with Big Belly's on stride, you're able to give her on hit pressure to draw more cards. So actually, that small little stride up turn can actually like draw you a bunch of cards. I've ended with like 15 in that turn just after hitting some triggers and stuff. So overall, very, very strong. But then you want to fall back on Big Belly's ability to draw cards during the end phase and the battle phase when your units are retired by a card effect. So it's really, really good. You farm so much in this deck, being able to call plant tokens for the Narukami matchup to either force them out or just plant tokens in general then to G-Guard and go into Ardillo, which will let you draw a card for every unit that you retire off the Big Belly's auto ability for V Big Belly. Is very strong. It's like one of your better defensive plays now that we lost access to Spangled as a clan. Rip Spangled, you did nothing wrong. And then again, you have like your perfect restanders with Amazing Professor Big Belly and Crayon Tiger, which is like an absolute staple. Like if you need a card for Great Nature, it is this one. And then you still get access to your defensive draw crits, which is just absolutely amazing that we get to play 8 crit or 10 crit now inside of Big Belly, just more for that pressure, because then it makes our rhinos more threatening, especially on top of the Calidrius turns that we get, which Calidrius is a stride that gives 10k to all of our front row rear guards and then gives the ability to restand one with 30k or greater and then give it triple door. So if you put that on a rhino, your opponent has to guard with 3 or more cards from hand, and none of them can be a grade 0. Which is absolutely fantastic. And there's so many other small combo lines, but that will be covered in this Big Belly deck profile. But again, this is just the list if you want to get started with my thoughts and everything. But this is a great starting point because this is kind of like your mid-range deck for Great Nature, just using Oxel 2 and just farming a lot of advantage. Just feels really, really good. The next list I'm going to cover is kind of one of more Great Nature's premier control lists with Isabelle. Isabelle is a lot more of a tempo deck. You are doing a lot of reactionary stuff to what your opponent is doing, and you have this ability to kind of like make lotteries perform both, which is important for Mary Martin for a Denial Griffin combo where we can blow up an entire opponent's column, and this bypasses resist, which you can call during your opponent's turn using the Almirage G-Guard, which is Soul Blast 1. When it's placed, you call up to 2 cards from your hand, and then you choose 4 and they gain resist and they don't retire when they're hit, which is really, really beneficial. So that top end's amazing, but also using the new G-Guard and Chibet Avil is always a PG because the trigger unit effect is always going to apply off of the Isabelle Vanguard continuous when your opponent's at grade 3 as well. So really good overall. This time for this win con, instead of using like the Calidrius finisher, even though like Calidrius is still one of your main strides, you kind of fall back on the Zoa combo because you're just wanting to extend that far every time. So what you want to do is you want to find Zoa, get to the GB3 for them, discard a copy of Isabelle, counterblast 2, draw a card, and then you're going to call a Rhino and give it that Quintet 9 power. And they can't call grade 0s when it swings, but if it's boosted with Monoculous Tiger, and off of Monoculous Tiger's effect, you Soul Blast 1. If you mill a trigger unit, then they can only guard with trigger units, but then they can't guard with grade 0s. So they really can't guard with cards from their hand off the Quintet 9, which is super powerful because actually the Black Liqueur Isabelle lets you stack the top of your deck, so you can almost guarantee yourself always hitting the trigger. which is very, very powerful. You play Rollick and other stuff to kind of like mitigate the rush, because again, this deck really thrives in the late game. This deck needs to reach the late game in order to be impactful. So that's just kind of where Isabelle sits at. But essentially then through Zoe's effect, once that Rhino attack hits, that's unguardable. When this unit deals damage to your opponent's Vanguard, your opponent loses. So it's kind of that one-shot kill of death. So overall, very strong, but you need to be wary of Elementaria and other like guard stuff in the PGG guards. Just keep in mind like your matchups. Once you begin to learn more of the premium field, like through this video, you understand like where those abilities lie. And then finally, we're going to talk about Hamsuke Rush. This is from my good friend Kaylin Lewis, my teammate, who only plays this deck. Like, he loves Great Nature, but like this by far is his favorite deck. So this deck is like the premier aggro deck for Great Nature. This deck is very rushy. Like, you get to use the promo, get some twin drive action in there. So you like the pseudo V Blaster Dark. But the deck revolves around using Pencil Hammy to tuck all of your Hamsuke cards back on the bottom, so you like restand a bunch of times, get a bunch of increments of 4K power, and start passing it around the board to where all your numbers get substantially larger. And you really get to abuse Pencil Hero Hamsuke because this generates you multiple Oxels, so you don't really have to weaken your deck in terms of power off of your history collection strides, because you just get automatically those those two Excels going second. And then you go into any of these strides here. Tons of effects through that that cause. And you're able to go Balaral, just pressure because you have such a large front row. Any attacks that hit, you get to draw cards. So it's very powerful, very impactful. You get through Hamden to get more power. Through Counterblast 1, since you have that additional rear guard circle off Pencil Hero, you're able to get through that. You have your countercharge access through Hamyuki, and then during battle phase countercharging with Pangolin, which is arguably like a staple too. So overall, very, very strong. You get to play the also the crit draws here because you really don't care about soul versus like in the Isabelle list where you play the Curious Ponies where you actually need the soul to perform like a lot of your effects. So overall, very, very strong deck, very, very impactful. So yeah, there's a bunch of options to play in Great Nature. Please feel free to just flood and check out this channel of drawing a bunch of cards, playing mid-range, playing aggro, playing controls. Like for you, I go in depth on all of these different decks, and it's just super favorite. I love how this deck plays. So many different options inside the G zone. It's just really, really fun and really, really amazing to play. So I hope you guys enjoyed Zoo. Now we're going to move on to the blue clans inside Stoikea. Let's get it, baby. And there you have it. Hopefully some of the deck ideas found here in this clan were very, very beneficial for you all, and so that way you guys can start your premium journey. If not, feel free to check out the other starters guides on this channel if you kind of have a rough idea of what clans you're looking into, or there's the entire video of where all of this was broken up from that you guys can feel free to put on the background and listen to as you guys can watch me ramble about decks. But I hope that this was very beneficial and that you guys continue along with me. Hopefully see you in the next lesson, and until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all later.